Hello, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video, we are going to be talking books. So let me just get into it and explain a little bit about the video first, and then I'm going to talk about the book that I've been reading at the moment, and I will just quickly say, if you like this video, then make sure you give it a like, comment and subscribe. But let me just get into it. So I have loved reading since I was little. As soon as I could kind of start to read, so probably I think I started reading a little bit before school. Not obviously like Einstein level, but I enjoyed reading and I found it quite easy. And when I was little, I was really into the fairy books, as I'm sure every girl in the UK that was little was. But I feel like that shaped a part of my personality today because I really want to just give that fairy-esque vibe to my life now. And I just want to live in the middle of nowhere with my trees and my berries and smoothies, and I just want the clean girl, wholesome aesthetic. And I know obviously life is very complicated, but I would love to just have my own sanctuary away from all the madness in the world, and then I can dip my toe in if I want to, but I will always have the safe space. And that is kind of what reading creates for me as well. So I've always felt like it is my safe space in all the chaos, and I just have felt very spiritually connected, I would say, to reading for the past year, just because I've found a new passion for it again. I've really got myself back into the routine and just letting myself be absorbed in the pages rather than just reading for the sake of reading, which I think obviously in school that's kind of all you have to do, and so it kind of makes you lose that passion a bit, or it did for me anyway. And I obviously got back into reading, and I also have enjoyed writing again because I started a blog earlier this year, and I have decided to put that on pause for a second, just because I feel like I've got so much going on, so much other things I need to put my time and energy into. So I'm not saying that's going to be gone forever, because I did actually really enjoy it. It's so nice being able to talk about topics that aren't talked about enough and say them with how I perceive them, and also any knowledge and help that I have found in those topics, or just to even express those feelings is obviously very good to just get it out there. And yeah, I have really enjoyed writing as well, so I would love to write a book, and that is definitely something in the process. I have had one idea that I have been pretty set on writing, but I also am slightly debating in my head if I should give other things a go as well, just because I feel like sometimes I get so invested in one thing and I just run with one thing, and it's not truly what I want to write. So I am just seeing what inspiration takes me and see if that's still something that I want to write about when it comes to actually sitting down and writing it, because I feel like I've got a lot of life plans going on at the moment, so I don't think I'm gonna start writing it yet, because I feel like I still need to feel the inspiration, feel like I've got necessarily the time to dedicate my life to it, if that makes sense. Just because I'm creating a lot of stepping stones in the like I'm in the process of going through like the stepping stones to be able to have that freedom now, and I just think it's gonna happen and I will be able to write it eventually, and I know there's always time, but I think now I'm still very much in like the planning process. But I have been reading lots, which I think is also amazing for inspiration, because I can just re-familiarise myself with the fact that people write a certain way and you have to write a certain way. The way that I think isn't necessarily how other people, like, it's not easily understood by everyone. And I feel like the book that I want to create, I want to help as many people, or I want to give people that escape in their world, which I want to be able to reach as many people as possible. So it's just a lot of like reflecting and just working towards a bigger goal. But that is just life, and I'm just gonna quickly just talk about reading as like a whole, just because I obviously have loved books since I was little, and I always used to go and get like the most random books from stores, and I'd always go to the library with my mum and my family, and I was just very invested in books when I was little, especially when I read Jacqueline Wilson's books, because those books for me were my everything. They honestly were my everything. And when I was growing up and like getting a bit older, and I knew these were kind of, it's weird because they are such dark topics, but they are children's books. And I was just really sad at the fact that those books aren't for me anymore. And same with like Dork Diaries and just so many other books. I was like, these aren't my age bracket anymore, and it's just so sad because those books have brought me so much joy, and like I've gotten so much entertainment and knowledge, and just, yeah, I just love reading and what it can do for people and how it can just really shape you as a person. And it's nice to know that somebody has sat there and taken the time to write that out and publish that and just portray, like, be their most vulnerable selves. It's just like honestly amazing. So I think when I do all of these changes and I've gotten myself into a place where I'm like, okay, I want to start writing this book very soon, I'm gonna start doing some writing courses and, you know, just get myself out there with other authors, speaking to other creatives, and I think that would be really good for me as well, like just getting myself out there and also just learning tips from other people. And I also want to talk about like the books that I've been reading at the moment to people that maybe have like different perspectives on them, because I feel like recently, or I don't know if this is just growing up or like coming into my own, but I have kept myself very much like in a bubble, and I would love to be able to like expand that by just getting out there and living life to the fullest. But that is actually kind of connected to the book that I've been reading at the moment. So I'm gonna talk you through the book that I've been reading at the moment. If you have watched like my other videos and you are close to me or you're my friend or whatever, then you will know that I have been reading this book. But I'm gonna tell everyone again that hasn't seen the other videos. So it's Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. And I've written some notes down because I love writing things down because it helps me be able to visualise it better. But it's just such a good book, and I honestly didn't know that it was a thing. Like, I'd never heard of it before. Maybe I had, and I just had completely like blocked that part of life, society, whatever out. But I genuinely didn't know that this was like a thing. This was like a big thing, and it was a film. I had never watched the film. I had never heard of it really. So reading this, and I was like, whoa, this is amazing. So I'm gonna read you the notes that I've written down. So give me a second, let me find them. So the first note that I wrote down is that I've never heard of it before, and I've never seen the film, which I obviously just said, and that it's a beautiful story / book, and it's excellently written, because it really is like written in such a way where you can see it from different people's perspectives, and you can really understand like the characters' feelings, and you can really like kind of envision yourself either not necessarily being there but understanding like the whole situation, if that makes any sense. But no, it's so well written, and it's just like an easy and a nice read, and I'm only halfway through, which is gonna sound crazy because I'm hyping it up so much, but that's how good it is, or in my opinion, that's how good it is, because it just, I've fallen in love with this book. It's amazing. But I am obsessed with the storyline, and I'm obsessed with the characters. And I kind of don't want to give too much away. Like, there's probably going to be some spoilers in these notes, but I don't want to give too much away because I really want you guys to either watch the film if you don't like reading or you struggle to read, then definitely go watch the film, but I would definitely recommend getting the books. So I found these in the charity shop, like the multiple versions in the, because there's several books. I found them in the charity shop for £2, and I'm sure they might be at the library, and you could probably get them cheaper somewhere online, or just, yeah, I would definitely recommend it. But anyway, on to more of my notes. I put, it's such an insight into different perspectives of lots of different life struggles. As somebody who has struggled with mental health, it's interesting to see from the perspective of a person trying to understand mental health and suicidal thoughts. And I obviously know what it's like to be a person who sees other people around me struggling and going through similar things and suffering with or dealing with suicidal thoughts and like low mood and anxiety. But I obviously am a person who understands it, and I have been through it, and I have the empathy, and I have the understanding that not a lot of people do have, and not necessarily have the mind to understand. So it's really interesting seeing it from, I'm not saying that the characters don't have that, like they don't have the empathy or all the rest of it, but it's clear that she doesn't necessarily understand why somebody would take their own life or things like that, which the other characters struggles with. And it's kind of like her learning to understand why he feels those certain ways and how difficult his life is and how he has to struggle. I feel like I'm going into way too much, so I'm trying to like, go around it, but it's just, yeah. I love how my hair has just gotten so frizzy throughout this video. Like, it was fine-ish before, and now it's just, she's gone. But anyway, it highlights the things that we take for granted. Being able to feed yourself, and that's obviously not undermining anyone's mental health or struggles or like anything that you have going on. Like, that is never what you should do, is never undermine how those things are. But there are obviously a lot of things that we do take for granted, and I think it's about constantly like reflecting on where you are and who the people are around you, what those people's intentions are. But I also do think that life is too short and we just have to embrace every moment, because like in this story, any little thing could happen. Obviously we do just take a lot of things for granted, and I think you kind of maybe sometimes don't necessarily realise that until you've lost it, or you have like a fear of losing that. But I do feel like we hold we hold ourselves back because of so many things, and it's just all about giving everything your best go, I guess. But the next note that I've written down is that Will is really affected mentally by his accident, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, but it's because of this. I've written that down because of the next note. So, the contrast between his determination / will to live before and after the accident shows how significant one moment can change everything. It shows that anything could happen to anyone at any point. And I just think it's amazing kind of the way that she's portrayed, because the girl, I'm going to give away the story. I'm just going to have to, basically, it's not going through the accident, but necessarily the aftermath. And you can really see Will like reflecting back on his life before, and you can really see like the determination and like his will to live before, and how he used to live his life with so much passion, and he didn't take things for granted, and he did all these things. Well, maybe deep down he probably did take them for granted, but like compared to people like me, he used to get up early all the time. I mean, I do get up early all the time, but do you know what I mean? He had like this routine, he had like these businesses, he had so many like structures in his life that maintained his happiness, if that made sense. As in, like, he had hobbies, he had loads of friends, girlfriends, like all the rest of it. And then this accident happened and it just ripped that away from him. And it's just, it really shows that like one moment really can just flip your life upside down, and there could be no tomorrow, and there could be no next week, there could be no next year, and it's just all about being present in the moment, and obviously just figuring out who you want to be. And I think just doing your best and reminding yourself that you are constantly trying your best. But that is all the notes that I've written down about the book, and that is the end of today's video. I'm very excited to read more of the book, and I will obviously keep you guys updated. And once I've finished it, maybe I'll do like a whole video just talking about my thoughts and feelings and all the rest of it. But I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, then make sure you like, comment and subscribe. And you can also comment if you read the book, if you read the film. Obviously, do not spoil it for me. I'm warning you, joking. But just comment down below like any thoughts, feelings you have about the book, and if you want me to read any other books, like let me know. And I think it would be really fun to do like a little book club situation over here, just get like a little bit more positivity, a bit more awareness about reading, and also then it will hold me accountable for reading more. So I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys again for another video. I love you lots, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.